Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Welcome to the live morning show presented by Don Blick Chevrolet. Welcome on this September 11th, 2023. We're honored that you would spend a little bit of your Monday morning with us. I'm Lem Carnegie. This is Wayne Holloman. We're going to be your hosts for the next couple of hours. We're going to get to Fred's weather forecast in just a moment, but let's go ahead and tell you that we're going to run things just a little differently today. Fred will give us a weather forecast in just a moment. Wayne and I will be here for the remainder of this first hour. We've got several topics to talk about. Some interesting news coming out of the General Assembly regarding the casino, and we actually have a new finance director for the city of Rocky Mount. Fred will come back for his second weather forecast at 8 o'clock. We have a guest at 8:20. And then we have a special segment to end the show with today. We have the General is coming in. He's going to introduce a video that speaks directly to 9/11, and we're going to have that video playing for the last 15 minutes of the show, during the time actually that the first plane struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center complex 22 years ago today. But we're going to run a little differently today. We may not have as many commercials. We'll have a little time. And some of the switches that we make may well be done on air so that we will have enough time to be able to make things happen at the end of the show.
So in other words, what he's saying is if you see one of us get up and walk out in the middle of the show, we're not upset with anybody.
We're not upset with anybody. If we actually bring our guests on while the camera's still on, we're doing that in the interest of time so that we can make things work at the end.
Absolutely.
But first, let's get to Sir Fred Holsworth with what I think is going to be an absolutely fantastic forecast, not only starting out the week, but absolutely ending the week is going to be absolutely marvelous. We'll have a weather forecast, and we'll be right back. You're watching the live morning show presented by Don Blick Chevrolet, and we will be right back. What do you think about that weather forecast?
I think a lot of that weather forecast, considering we came home from church yesterday and our AC unit upstairs has gone on the blink or something like that. So we woke the kids up and it was nice and cool, and we go home, or Rachel got home before me because I had to stay for a meeting, and she says our AC's broke. Hopefully it's just a Freon shot. That's what you hope for. But when we got home, it was like 81 degrees upstairs, and so I got to make a good old phone call today and figure out what's wrong with it. Like I say, hopefully just a Freon shot. But nice to see that type of forecast on the day your AC decides it doesn't want to play along anymore.
Well, I think we finally start getting some fall weather at the end of the week too, with daytime temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. That's going to be nice. That's great high school football.
That's great high school football weather. Absolutely, it sure is.
So I may have asked you this question last year, but before we get into the topics, let me ask you again. Where were you on 9/11?
I'm glad we opened with that because I felt like that was the most appropriate thing to do today. I had been home from my 2-year church mission trip for about 4 or 5 months. So I kind of spent the summer trying to gather, what do I want to do, what's going, working a little, and I had moved back at the time at my parents' house to live there and complete my second year of community college. I took a year of courses at Nash Community to get my second year in, and was laying in bed, and I will never, it's one of those things you'll never forget. It's just drilled into your mind. My dad coming into the room and opening the blinds, and normally, they're like, well, let him sleep as long as he wants. And I remember him saying that the Twin Towers had been hit by hijacked planes and had collapsed. And so I didn't wake up and know what had happened until both of them had already fallen. But like I say, I can still see everything about that moment. And then I just remember spending that entire day in utter shock. There was times I'd be driving and have to pull over. I was overcome with emotion. Listening to the president say things that would hopefully heal folks and give them that opportunity to. It was. I remember being very, very, very emotional. At the time, I would have been 21. Yeah, 21. So, that's my vivid memories. And just like I say, it was just something that seemed completely unreal. Seemed like there was no way it could have really happened. I'm dreaming. This is something you only see in crazy movies. But yeah, it was a very, very emotional day. But I also, Lim, remember that being at the culmination of that day, after everything settled in, I remember having an incredible sense of American pride. It was probably the worst thing that I had ever experienced in my life. Tragedy or tragic event such as that. I know we've had wars and things, but to me that one hit the hardest. But at the end of the day, I remember thinking our country is we had pride. We were American. We were gonna fight that. So those are what I remember my emotions being at the time. And I feel like 22 years later, now we're having to kind of fight tooth and nail to keep that same American pride because of other things that we've seen and people trying to tear that sense of pride down for whatever reason. So, in a brief summary, that kind of wrapped up how I felt and what I experienced that day. How about you?
Let me ask you this, did you have any thoughts of joining the military immediately after 9/11?
I did not personally.
Okay.
No, it never. I'm not cut from that cloth. I like I say. I mean, I guess push come to shove, you do what you have to do if you had to. But that was never went through my mind. That's just not. I don't think I would do very well personally. As a side joke, but no. But I do remember having a very amazing sense of pride in the midst of anxiety and fear and let's be honest, I think we were all scared that day. Something had just happened that we couldn't have dreamed in our wildest dream. You wouldn't have ever thought something like that was actually possible. So it was a perfect storm of emotions, the likes of which I had never felt in my life. Like I say, I was 21 at the time, so some people were younger than that, some people were older than that, so but probably one of the most emotional, if not the most emotional day I had had about anything other than like personal matters in my entire life. How about you? Where were you?
I had a business conference in Dallas the week before, and I was scheduled to fly home into RDU on that Sunday the 9th. My flight was canceled in Dallas, so I had to spend the night in Dallas and then spent the better part of the day of the 10th getting home because it wasn't a direct flight home and those flights were delayed, and I didn't get home until well into the late afternoon on the 10th. And got home and I was just tired, so I made my mind up then that I was going to work from home on the 11th. So we got up on the morning of the 11th. The children went to school. They were in one was in high school, one was in middle school. No, one was in middle school, one was in elementary. Okay. And my wife was a teacher, special ed teacher. So I remember I had gotten up and I was on the computer and I just had the radio on. And the radio announcer said, "We've had a report that a small plane has flown into one of the towers at the World Trade Center." So I remember getting up and going and refilling my cup of coffee, and I walked into the den where the TV was and was standing there with a cup of coffee watching when the second tower, the North Tower, was hit. And at that point, if you saw it, you just
you knew something was bad.
Something just it wasn't good, and I remember just sitting down and taking stock and watching what was happening, and the day as the day unfolded, it was just surrealistic. It was hard to believe that the events had happened because shortly after that, Shanksville and the Pentagon were struck. 3,000 people lost their lives. Video of people jumping out of the World Trade Center to keep from being burned alive. The choice, the choice that is the better choice to jump 100 stories out, because it is just, it's hard to imagine the scenes of the utter devastation and the people that were in just shock that were on television. It was hard to imagine, and to this day it's still hard to imagine, and to go back and put myself back in the mindset that I was in on that day. But I think it ended up with you as well too, if not a sense of pride, because there were still so many questions, but a sense of feeling that the country would get through this and the country would move on from this, and that we would at some point find out what happened and find out how to respond to that. And that was what I went to bed with. And remembering and wondering what the 12th was going to bring, because we none of us knew if it was over or if there was going to be more.
That's where I was saying the fear came in. Fear.
No,
and I think that summarizes it very well. It took a while to let that settle in, and like I say, not be in fear. And it caused all kinds of anxiety. It caused you to look at people differently. It caused you to have fears in your mind that really shouldn't have been there. It just raised all kinds of things. But it's something that will, when they say forever in your heart, it is truly forever in your heart. I mean, that is a situation that very seldom does a day go by that it might not cross your mind, because of what was left behind and everything like that. So.
Have you been to Ground Zero?
I have not, actually.
It is a very, in the midst of that big city, and in one of the most densely populated areas of the city, and in the middle, right near Wall Street, and everything with that, you have these two beautiful holes in the ground that are where the Trade Center stood, and it is very somber. And the times that we were there, it was very quiet, even with the city just completely hustling and bustling around it. If you have a chance to go, you walk away from it feeling you do have a sense of pride. And I would say that if anyone gets to New York and you have the time, the memorial is well worth your time to get down to prepare to stand in line, because it is very popular.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share thoughts. I think that's very appropriate for today. We'll take a quick break and come back and jump into our topics of the day and continue to roll along here on the Live Morning Show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. All right, and welcome back to the Live Morning Show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Just a program note for you today, a little bit different in case you're just joining us. We're going to go straight to 8 o'clock with this segment. No commercial, no weather up until 8 o'clock. So we will be with you for a good long haul here as we bring you the latest analysis and information. But before we start with the latest on the casino, Cooper's Reardon Club Barbecue Chicken Plate Sale coming up September the 15th. That is Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Yep, Friday from 11 a.m. until. It just says until. So in other words, till they run out of food, I guess. $10 per plate, takeout and delivery only. No tickets are needed, but if you want delivery, you can call 903-1830. And Boy Scout Troop Pack 37 Scouts will have desserts for sale for an additional charge, and they thank you ahead of time for your support. Also, this Thursday, September the 14th, join us at Golden East Crossing Mall Senior Living Health and Wellness Community Expo from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for a morning packed with health and wellness tips. Visit with our vendors with valuable materials to share to our free community expo. Enter by Books a Million. That's where they want you to go in. A light breakfast is served by Chick-fil-A while it lasts. Swag bags given at entry along with your ticket to win a prize. Each vendor will have an enter to win set up at their booth with goodies to give away. For more information, you can go to the website goldeneastcrossing.com. All right, those are the couple things in our community coming up.
The Ruritan barbecue and chicken sounds pretty doggone good, doesn't it?
I have had them. I don't go every single time, but I have had them, and they do a phenomenal job. You definitely do not walk away from there disappointed, that is for sure. And it's for great calls and great food. So.
It is. Were you a Boy Scout?
Believe it or not, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I laugh because I am the last person anybody would expect to have not only been a Boy Scout, but actually got my Eagle Scout. And go ahead, fall out of your chair, laugh. I'm sure what's going through your mind right now is how in the whatever is Wayne Holloman an Eagle Scout.
From one Eagle to another, I can congratulate you.
I mean, I appreciate that. I'll tell you my story of why.
What troop?
We were 516.
Troop 7.
Okay, 516. It was through the church. It was back when our church really pushed scouting, and my parents just were firm believers that all the youth in the church should be scouts, and they literally came to me when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13 and said, do you want your driver's license? And I said, well, of course. And they said, well, you will become an Eagle Scout before you ever get a driver's license. So it gave me So I'll be honest with you, it was forceful motivation. Do I look back on it and say I'm proud of the accomplishment? Yeah, I mean, because it's an accomplishment, but I fought tooth and nail for that, and that was, anyway, a sore spot between me and the parents over the years. So, but that's my story.
Interesting. Let's talk about the casino.
All right.
There have been several articles, not only in local media but in regional media, concerning where things stand with the proposed, yet to be voted on casino legislation. I'll start with a story that came out in the middle part of last week and updated through what we know today. Local officials are expressing caution after reporting plans to expand casino gambling into North Carolina doesn't appear to have the support be included in the state budget. In an email sent Wednesday evening, which was last Wednesday evening, North Carolina House Speaker Tim Moore to members of the House Republican Caucus, Moore spells out the lack of support for casino complexes. This is quoting Speaker Moore. To be clear, we will not pass a budget that does not have 61 Republican votes. As you can see, there are not 61 Republicans willing to vote for the budget if it includes gaming, end quote. Moore told members in the email obtained by the Telegram to be on the lookout for an email about a caucus meeting next week about a budget without gaming. We learned over the weekend that is likely to happen on Wednesday, that the budget, which is the General Assembly's primary focus, and they are almost 3 months delinquent in passing a budget with Republicans controlling both the House and the Senate, which should really frustrate every single North Carolinian that they're taking this long to do it. It looks like the vote on the budget will come on Wednesday.
Right.
So without the casino part of it. So going on with the story. North Carolina Nash County Board of Commissioners Chairman Robbie Davis said the latest developments in Raleigh are welcome news for those in Nash County residents opposed to casino gambling. Property at the intersection of I-95 and US 64 was identified as a likely site by lawmakers, but whether the legislature would support a standalone casino gambling bill is unclear. Then he said that nothing that remains to be seen. Davis has said voters ought to be given an opportunity to have their voices heard on the issue in a referendum. Quote, I see them moving it to another time, Davis said, adding that it appears as a separate bill, debate on the matter would take considerable time, end quote. Nash County Commissioner Gwen Wilkins, a casino supporter, also tempered expectations. Quote, I know elected officials, legislatures can change their minds at the last minute, so until the fat lady sings, nothing is a done deal.
That is true.
According to the Associated Press, North Carolina House members met privately over whether to authorize more gambling in the state. I would interject, they've been meeting privately about this for an unknown period of time. We know that it's been 10 months since Robbie Davis, chairman of the Nash County Board of Commissioners, sat in a closed-door meeting that he had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to attend that discussed this issue. It obviously has been going on longer than that, but all of these discussions have been private. They have not been made open to the public. During a news conference outside the legislative building, the gambling opponents lamented the lack of public discussion about any gambling proposal. According to the Associated Press, the rally of about 50 people took place while House Republicans met behind closed doors in a caucus meeting that lasted more than 3 hours. The level of support for casinos, video gambling, terminals, and other gaming options were among the items discussed, Speaker Moore said later Tuesday. Some lawmakers have said the potential casinos would generate state and local revenues, create jobs, and counter expanded gambling efforts in other states, particularly in Virginia. No official legislation has been introduced, frustrating opponents who say high-stakes gambling in their communities will lower residential property values, discourage people from moving in, and breed social ills like crime that would hurt families. Quote, "This is not about politics, this is about people, this is about the next generation. Our kids today have enough bad things on the doorstep," said Joni Robbins, real estate agent from Nash County, at the news conference, warning, "If you mess with our kids, we will vote you out." So where we stand today is that it appears that a budget will finally be voted on this Wednesday, September 13th, without the casino, without the casino referendum as part of it. And at some point, it appears that the General Assembly will have to take that issue up on its own and debate. At that point, those debates will be in public. I don't see how the General Assembly would be able to take this issue, as controversial as it is, without some form of the legislators having the debate be public and vote on it, and at that point, we'll see where we go from this.
Yeah, I think it brings up a very interesting point as you're reading that. Here's where everybody's emotions at. Like, we know point blank everybody is all over the place with this. We got pros, we got cons, we got people for, we got people against. And people have been asking the question, I've noticed that all weekend, like, where do we actually stand? When will a decision be made? Who actually makes the decision? We've watched church groups get together. We've watched protests. We've watched all kinds of different things. We've watched big things that are for it. So all the people in them are kind of sitting back right now and saying, when, where, why, how? You know, it's kind of like, are all the things that we're doing, do they even matter? Like, how much weight does everything carry and everything like that? So I think everybody's just sitting back right now saying, okay, when will the decision be made? You look at a situation like this, and it once again brings up the scenario of how much voice do people have in these. I think you've seen it cool off a little bit in the last 2 to 3 weeks because people go right back.
Favor for or cool in favor or cool in against?
Right. Well, no, I'm saying like just in general. Everybody's talking about it. Okay. Everybody's got an opinion. Now we're kind of in that lull, like, well, does my opinion really matter? Like, because somebody else, you know, the legislation is going to decide it all regardless. Like, that's the part, and then, like you say, you make reference to the fact that almost for an entire year, this was being discussed, groundwork being laid, before anybody in the public even has a wind of knowing this is going on. So my point is, it's just another one of those scenarios where people get all excited, they get into it, and then the reality of it hits them like, I don't know that I really actually have a say. You know, and then the whole thing is, will it go to a vote to the people? Will the people's voice actually matter? You and I were talking about something else off air I want to bring up a little bit as well. I am appalled, I guess, shocked, amazed of how little discussion, comment has been made by city leaders here in Rocky Mount. I want to ask you kind of what you might, and people can call in and give their opinion of this. Like, this is a huge deal. Is this just a political thing to stay silent? I know we got a lot of elections coming up. Are you as surprised as I am that we're really not hearing from the mayor in a sense, the council? Like, I mean, I know the mayor's made some, a few general things, but like overall, are you surprised at how unvocal, unopinionated, at least publicly, city leadership has been, and if so, why do you think that is the case right now?
Well, You remember two or three Saturdays ago, the NAACP, the local chapter of the NAACP, had a candidates forum,
Right.
at which many of the candidates who are running for a re-election or for seats in the upcoming election participated, and they were asked specifically about this issue. And the responses were one of two. They either supported it or they said, I can't comment
Right.
because I don't know enough.
And the majority was the latter.
The majority was the latter.
Yeah.
So, but in terms of council speaking out specifically about this, either in formats outside of council meetings or in council meetings, the same with the Nash County Board of Commissioners, the silence has been interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what to make of that.
I don't either.
We
That's what I'm
have
asking.
several people.
Yeah.
We do have several that have come out, as we know. Gwen Wilkins has come out strongly in for
Right,
for
right.
for the casino, or for the possibility of the casino. I just my guess is for those opponents, for those candidates that say I don't know enough about it, it gives them their options. If it passes, they can say, well, I'm glad it's passed now that I know enough about it. If it doesn't pass, they can say, well, I couldn't comment because I didn't know enough about it. And frankly, the General Assembly, by their silence, has given everybody this out, because all we know is what little information has been doled out to us. Now, the General Assembly has admitted that lobbyists for the casino industry have been active in the state for a number of years.
Right.
What lobbyists do two things. They give money to politicians, and then once they give money to politicians, they ask for favors from politicians. What we don't know is how much money the casino and the gambling lobbyists have already given
Right.
to the General Assembly, to and perhaps even to local politicians, and not just in Nash County, but in Anson and Rocky Mountain County and other places as well too. We don't know that. We won't know that until the candidates have to file their disclosures at the end of the year to tell you how much money they've received in campaign contributions.
Right, right.
We don't know. But this is the General Assembly's fault. The silence on this issue is what has led to the majority of the questions here. If this had been done out in the open, then the questions that have been brought up could and should have been answered, and we'd either have a much stronger feel for whether it is something that the people truly want
Right,
or
right.
don't want, because it'd be based on facts. It'd be based on information that's been given to the public.
Absolutely, and I think that was my point in saying that's where after you go around and it's been the water cooler talk for a while, you know, people look at that and say, ultimately, it's another scenario in which people feel very opinionated about something, but then again walk away from it kind of feeling like their hands are tied, in a sense, like we really don't feel like the voice of the majority of the people. Now I will say this. Now, in defense of that, tell me if you think I'm wrong here, Lim. I feel like this is a very 50-50 thing. Like most high-level, emotional, controversial topics, by the time's all said and done, you seem like you can point to the majority feel this way. I don't feel that way with this casino topic. I literally feel like I could go talk to 10 random people in 20 different spots around town today and get about a 50-50 response, 50-50 answer. Do you feel that it's that evenly opinionated, a 50-50? At least that's what it feels like to me.
It's hard to tell because human dynamics says that if you are opposed to something, you're going to always be more vocal than if you're for something. You go to a restaurant and you have a great experience.
That's true.
What do you say? Now, often I don't say much. You go to a restaurant and have a bad experience.
Calling for the manager.
Calling for the manager.
Yeah.
So I think we've heard of a very loud vocal response from the people that don't like this or are against it. For the folks that are for it, it's hard to tell whether it's 50-50. I believe that as more information comes out And if this bill has to stand on its own and have public debate, more of the information will come out. We will see we'll have a better gauge at that point on exactly how the population stands and feels on this. And it will be not just to Nash, Rockingham, and Anson counties. We'll find out what the feeling of most of the public is about this too,
Right.
in the state of North Carolina.
And that's important.
That's
important. That's
too.
very, very important to do that. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wayne. Good morning, Wayne. What's going on, Rocky Mount?
The casino.
The casino. Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you a gambler?
Well, not per se, but I think it'll help Rocky Mount.
So you're actually you would say you're for it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate the call and hope you're doing well this morning.
Yes,
I
sir.
am, because I just got you on.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We will see you later.
All right, man. Take care. So thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for the encouragement on the side as well there. Appreciate all you do to encourage that.
I got your back.
I don't doubt that one bit, my friend.
You need it.
I absolutely. Although, anyway,
Yep.
I'll tell you about that later. Okay, so let's look at this from another perspective. One of the things that has been done, a lot of research has been done on, is if this comes here, which company will get the job. It appears through some research that Cordish companies. Now, Lim, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. The Cordish company would be the one that would most likely get this job as the developers. They have some huge projects. Probably the most well-known project, the Charleston Place and the Entertainment District and Sports Anchor. And I'll tell you about them, and also the point I'm trying to make with this, because the big thing here is what goes on these 100 acres, what is going to be put there. That's the big part of discussion. So we found out something over the weekend that would be very interesting and might shape people's opinion of this whole thing here. But we have a caller first. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Wayne.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Good. Hope you are. What's on your mind?
Robbie Davis.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Robbie.
Your analysis of the 50-50, I would have to totally agree with. Not agree with, I'm sorry.
Oh, not okay.
I honestly think it would be maybe in the range of 80-20.
Oh, wow.
Based on all the conversations I've had throughout the county.
You would know better than me.
Not just in the area, but throughout the county.
All right.
And that's why it's so important to get it to a local referendum if indeed it's going to be here.
Okay.
And Robbie, let's make sure we understand. You're saying that with your conversations, you believe it would be 80 against and 24?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay.
And I'll go on record as saying everybody trusts this man more than because he talks to way more people than me. To me, the folks that I've talked to, it seemed to be more of a 50, but I would certainly trust your information more than mine.
Robbie.
Well, I appreciate that. And your comment about the silence of the Rocky Mountain elected officials.
Right.
Also find interesting and really wonder why that is. And the only thing I can do is come back to the same point you made, is the local election part of it, which tend generally not to affect things like this, but both of them certainly have, because they've been awful quiet about it. I'm wondering maybe, and this will infuriate them, once they saw what the numbers really look like and what the cash out would be for the city of Rocky Mountain, or any of them taking a second look at it. Mm-hmm. $2,590 per million is just not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Robbie, let me just go back to your first comments. With the people that you've talked to, has there been one overriding or one consistent reason why the people that you've talked to are not in favor of the entertainment district and the proposed casino?
I wouldn't say it would be one. You probably can narrow it down to the 3 or 4 range.
Okay.
Okay.
All of it is faith-based, of course.
Yeah.
a lot of it is property values, of course, for the ones closer by.
Right, right.
A lot of it, which matches my concern, is the overall concern about quality of life and the addiction process, which I'm so sensitive to.
Yeah, of course.
And work in that field quite a bit, and that's my biggest concern by far. But no, it would probably be equal split between about 4 different main oppositions to it.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, it certainly appears that at least we'll have a budget vote by the General Assembly this week, and then at some point down the road, this discussion brought up in a separate topic, which hopefully will add shed some public light as the legislators themselves have to debate this issue on the open floor of the General Assembly.
I wished I was as confident as y'all seem to be that that's really what's going to play out this week. I've read that, I've heard that.
All right.
But also look at the past, how things work, and it could pop up today, it could pop up tomorrow, be in the budget bill, and everything change overnight, as I think we all realize.
Yes, sir.
And to me, if indeed it turns out like y'all seem to think it may, that would be great, and then our people would indeed get much more involved and much more the ability to get involved in it.
Right. Well, I guess we can only hope for the best, and the way it should be. We've watched situation after situation here on a local level, with people get frustrated with feeling like they don't have that ultimate voice or vote or whatever it may be. So we'll just continue to hope for the best and see what happens. As always, we love getting your input.
Yes, sir.
We love for you to come back and sit with us at any time, and thank you for your insight today.
Thank y'all.
Robbie, thank
we
you.
sure appreciate what y'all do for us.
Thank you,
very
Robbie.
much.
Have a
Thank
great
you very
day.
No, that's
good to hear. And
well, and I'm glad he called because he would know, and that's why I said I will backtrack my 50-50 statement all day because I know that he is in that thing more than me. He's definitely surrounded by more folks than me and getting heavy opinions. So if he says the majority seem to be against, and I'm certainly going to go with that sentiment.
Well, Robbie has been consistent from the moment that this was announced, and he could speak about it after it became public.
Right.
He has been a consistent opponent of this,
right.
and he probably has heard as much, if not more, than any other elected official about how the sentiment of the citizens of Nash County, and probably citizens in Rocky Mountain and Edgecombe as well too, feel about this. So he probably has a better sense of how things are, the sentiment out there, than many others do.
So back to the point I was making, and anybody's still welcome to call 407-1111. The other point I was making about this Cordish company, they appear to be the leaders or the most likely group to develop this project if it indeed happens. And if you want to take a note on this, you can go back and reference this maybe after the show. You can look this up. The Charleston Place and the Entertainment District and Sport Anchor are a couple of their better known projects. Beautiful, fun places to visit, as it mentioned. And the individual that was doing this research and kind of looking around saying by far I think this might be the best company to do this job and develop it. Now, it comes with a little bit of a caveat in a sense. Now, Lim, I go back to this point because the last time you and I were here and we talked about this, one of the things that we mentioned was if this becomes an entertainment district. At first I think people thought it was going to be a standalone casino. We debated the pros and cons of the standalone casino. Maybe it was one hotel beside it. But we learned that the entertainment district would include all kinds of things: restaurants, residential units, 5-star hotels, a water park, shopping. That would be all included. So I think people have come to think that, oh, okay, this is automatically going to happen if this entertainment district is built. But we've learned that the requirement, Lim, is for $500 million to be spent on 100 acres of land. The company can spend that however they want.
Yep.
They can put it all in the casino and the hotel, or they can develop all of this other stuff. Now, I think that's something people really need to understand when they think about their decision and where they stand with this. It's not automatically going to be all these bells and whistles and all this extra stuff in this entertainment district. They can choose to make it whatever they want it to be. And so it doesn't just automatically come with all this stuff. Now, they may spend it and put all it, or they may not. So I think that was an important part that maybe people need to really understand. We're still kind of handcuffed in this process, even if it comes here. We have another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Well, good morning. I wanted to comment on that. The new casino. You know, this is not the 1950s where you're going to have Sammy Davis Jr. and Dean Martin coming in there singing with their tuxedos and all, and a few people gambling on the side wearing their tuxedos. If you've been to any kind of a casino in the last 20 years, you can see just how shady they really are, along with all the strip clubs that's going to pop up all around your so-called entertainment district. You're not going to have Bill Tyler's and other businesses going out there to fill in the entertainment district out there. And one of the things, first of all, casinos, gambling in general, are by design where they keep 90% of the money and only 10% is distributed among the winners. And that's not a winner, that is all the winners. So if you're in there looking to make a couple $1 million or even a couple $100,000, the odds are that you're going to leave out of there with empty pockets, and you're not going to be winning. And that's, I guess, it's designed to bring you back over and over and over till your pockets are empty.
Right.
But I've never seen a casino. I've been all over the place, and I've never seen one that is family oriented or even neighborhood oriented.
Okay.
And with the area that it's going to be going in, if they would put it out maybe on the other side of Princeville or somewhere out in Canita or somewhere like that, where it would fit in, I think, better. But what's going to happen is you're going to have the people with their pajamas, and the same people that go to Walmart and to wear their pajamas and flip flops and the hair up in curlers. They don't care. They're looking for. They're standing there at the cash register trying to buy these lottery tickets over and over and over. Looks like they haven't been out of the house, but maybe just to go buy lottery tickets. The type of people that's going to go to these casinos or this so-called casino is not going to be what you're going to be looking for. The only people that's going to benefit from this is the company that's going to be contracting the business to actually build it. They'll make all their money. The employees that'll be there, they'll be making their money, which is not going to be that many. You might have 10 or 15 employees over there. I know they say it'll be hundreds and all. That never does come to fruition.
Yeah.
But those 10 or 15 people are going to benefit, and then the rest of the county is going to suffer because of the traffic. Casinos don't close down at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
They get rolling about 9 o'clock at night, and they're rolling till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And if you've been to that one, I've never been to the one, but one on South Church Street. I'm sorry, 301 South, right just south of Old Mill Road.
I think.
It's been that gaming place
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Oh, for years. They tried to shut it down, and I'm maybe 8 or 10 blocks from it. I'm back in the West Ridge, Inglewood area, and I
Right.
can hear 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. I've heard gunfire over there, the sirens screeching, heading over there, but you never read about it in the paper.
Yeah.
But there's shootouts over there. Gambling casinos, gambling houses in general bring a seedy type of person. They don't bring families in there. We need something more family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would go better with the whole county. Anytime there's that much opposition against something, there's probably something to it.
Yeah. Well, you also think, Randy, real quickly, a lot of people are very sensitive to the fact that this area is smack dab right in the center of two prominent high schools and a college. And I've heard that be the concern of a lot of people. You know, there's no way for all the Northern Nash kids, all the Nash Central kids, all the Nash Community College kids to not be influenced by this, because they're going to have to. It's right in the middle of their livelihood. So there's a lot of concern there. Just the location of two high schools and a community college. I think that concerns a lot of people.
You know, Wayne, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, is the location, and that's going to bring a lot of the undesirable elements to this area. It's bad enough the ones we have to deal with here with downtown, the city council and all. It's bad enough having to deal with that. But then having undesirables coming in from out of state and hanging around your neighborhood until 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, just trying to get a fix.
Yeah.
It just stinks from high heaven from one end to the other. I just hope that our leadership can open their eyes and actually go once for what the people want, not just for what their economic wallets are going to be looking at in their own pocketbooks. But
Gotcha.
anyway, boys, look, I think my time is up. I'm enjoying your show this morning.
Randy, thank you very much.
Robbie, if Robbie's still listening, buddy, I haven't talked to you in a while, but it's good to hear your voice again.
Appreciate the call, my friend.
Thank you, Randy.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right,
Yes, sir.
buddy. Real quickly before
Sure.
we take a break, I wanted your comment on the point I was making before Randy called with. That's something that I learned over the weekend. I was under the impression that, entertainment district, like all of this, I wasn't aware of how much control the actual developer had. Like, I mean, literally. Now, and I can't imagine, and maybe I'm just way out in left field, but I can't imagine if you have $500 million to spend on the whole district, but you could still spend that just on the casino and the hotel, that darn sure better be a massive hotel and you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of money that's spread out for the entertainment district or one other thing. So, my point there. We've got another caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you all tell me who are the undesirables? Who are the people that shop at Walmart? Who are the people that wear rollers in their hair and pajamas? Your caller just stated that. Do you know who he's talking about?
I guess we would have to ask him specifically what he was implying. I don't want to imply anything because he made the comment.
Well, who do you think he was talking about?
I
Insinuating.
can't get inside of somebody else's mind. I don't know.
I just asked you to guess. You guessed about everything else.
I guess he was insinuating the type of people that go to Walmart. I don't know because I go to Walmart.
I'm not sure what your point is,
I go to gas stations. As a matter of fact, I was just in both over the weekend, so
Sound mighty racist to me. I'll be glad when they outlaw that in this country. Have a good day.
All right, we appreciate the call. Like I said, I can't get inside someone else's head and know exactly if he wants to call back and after the break and answer what he meant. We'll invite him to do that. I have no problem with that, but I'm not going to assume what anybody is thinking personally. So.
As we go to break, let's just say I will answer your question, but let's do it after,
after
we come back.
I would like to know what your thoughts are on that.
We're going to step aside for our top of the hour break. When we come back, Fred will have his second look at weather. Then we'll be back with some more commentary. We have a guest at 8:20. We have a special 9/11 tribute to end the program with. You're watching the live morning show presented by Don Bullock Chevrolet, and we'll be right back.
And welcome back to the live morning show, brought to you by Don Bullock Chevrolet. Our community calendar mentions Cooper's Ruritan Club Barbecue Chicken Plate Sale coming up this Friday, September the 15th, from 11 a.m. until they run out of food. That is up to you how fast they run out of food because you're the ones who got to buy the plates. No tickets are needed. They are $10 a plate. You can call 903-1830 if you want delivery. And Boy Scout Troop Pack 37 will have desserts for an additional fee. They thank you ahead of time for the support of the Cooper's Ruritan Club Barbecue Chicken Plate Sale, $10 a plate. Now the day before that, I guess I should have done this one first if I'm staying in date order, but I don't do that all the time. Thursday, September the 14th, the Senior Living Health and Wellness Community Expo will be at the Golden East Crossing Mall from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. A morning packed with health and wellness tips. Visit our vendors with valuable material to share at the free community expo. They ask you to enter by Books a Million. A light breakfast of Chick-fil-A will be served while supplies last. Swag bags given at entry along with your ticket to win a fabulous door prize. Each vendor will have an enter to win set up at their booth with goodies to give away. For more information, visit goldeneastcrossing.com.
When's the last time you got a swag bag?
Last time I got a swag bag? That
That long?
Yeah, it hadn't been recently, if I have to think about it, so it must not have been that good.
It's not been that long.
I mean, my best swag bag. Well, yeah. Well, no, I won a huge swag bag years ago in a contest. I'll tell you more about that at another time.
Okay.
But that would take a lot of time. So right before we went to break, I had posed the point of the company that possibly is favored to get this project is the Cordish company. You could look up the Charleston place if you want to get an idea. I invite you to get an idea. So, Lim, my question to everyone is, once we learned that any company that gets this casino project, if it comes, can take, they're required to get 100 acres, spend $500 million. Everybody's thinking, oh, we're going to get this and this and this, the water park, the restaurants, the hotels, the businesses, all this cool stuff. Doesn't have to go down like that. They could take this $500 million and do nothing but the casino and the hotel. Now, darn it, it better be a really good one if that's the only two things they build with the $500 million. Should that knowledge, Lim, of the flexibility that the Cordish company or any company that gets this would have, should that change, or does that change the mindset of people as they look at a possible entertainment district? What is your thought?
Well, when you look at the land that is up for option, which is a nice piece of land, but there's also not a lot, it's not that much land.
No,
It's not. Nor is $500 million in the scope of what we're talking about that much money. And let's put this into context. When we built the convention center, we built it for $47 million.
Yeah.
That was back when interest rates were in the upper 2s and low 3s. Interest rates are now in the 6s and 7s. That's for the best credit residential. Commercial is always higher than residential. And they're not going to put $500 million of all of their own money into this. They're going to leverage that, but their cost is greater than to finance that is greater than it has been. So a casino, yes. A hotel, yes.
Absolutely, definitely.
The hotel would probably, if not going to stand alone a restaurant, a hotel would have a restaurant, yes. That easily could eat up $500 million right there.
It definitely could.
Done properly.
Yeah.
And you have to think about the egress and ingress from the road. How are you going to get people in and out? There's only one way in and out of that property right now, unless you're going to also put improvements in, which that now comes down to whether it's going to be the state or the county or the city, if it butts against the city, is going to pay for the improvements to go in.
Right.
Are they going to have to pay for their own sewer and water to go in? All of the things that go in. So $500 million is a lot of money, but this is also a big project.
So is it fair to say, is it fair to say that if they went the route of the restaurants, the businesses, the water park, the side stuff, that the hotel and the casino wouldn't be as nice? Does that make sense?
I don't know if that'd be the case, but I would think that what they would probably do is say they'll build it in phases. First phase would be the casino and the hotel.
Okay.
Restaurant either in the hotel or immediately adjacent to the hotel. See how it goes.
Because if they had all $500 million to do just the hotel and the casino, then you would think that would be amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Again, that for the average person, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of money
in the scope of
things to do everything, because you've got to pay for the machines that go into it. You've got to pay for the furnishings. It's not just the building; it's everything that goes in the hotel at a 4 or 5 story hotel. And if it's going to be nice, it costs a lot of money to do that. So you could easily spend a couple $100 million on the hotel and the other $300 on the casino to outfit it and get it right and get it the way training, all the things go along with it.
And then have none of this other stuff that people are expecting is automatically coming with it. That's why I brought this up, because people need to understand that it's not an automatic. They can build it as they want.
I would think that if it happens, that the company will say, we're going to do, here's phase 1, here's phase 2, here's phase 3. Water park, all the other things are at minimum phase 2, if not phase 3, because they're going to want to get the casino up and running as quickly as possible. And that leads to another thing. Would they put a temporary structure up, as they did in Emporia, which says we're going to put this under tents or put this in mobile buildings while we're building the big nice one?
Makes sense. Well, we will continue this
We'll
discussion
discuss it
because there's a
tomorrow.
lot more that I want to get to, and we'll have to table that for tomorrow. You have a guest coming on
So
now.
as we said, what we're going to do is Wayne's going to step off set. We're going to bring our guest on at 8:37. He will end, and we're going to bring our guest on to have our 9/11 tribute to end the show with.
All right, so we're going to
bear
do,
with us
we're
for
going to
just
do a
1 second.
live swap, right?
That's right.
All right.
Cody, good morning.
Morning.
I am honored to have with us today Cody High, who's the Executive Director of Your Choice Resource Center. Cody, thank you for being with us today.
Glad to be here. This was my first live swap I've ever done. So
Today, it's a little different today with 9/11. We want to make sure that we get what we have on at a particular time.
Right.
Let's get started.
Sure.
Let's start with a very high overview. Tell us a little bit about what Your Choice Resource Center is and what it does.
yeah, so we've been in the community since since 1989, so 35 years, and our mission is to offer women Christian compassionate care. And so we are in our community to serve women who find themselves with unplanned pregnancies, either under-resourced or unsure, and we're able to walk alongside of them and offer them resources to support them while they go through that.
What was the founding behind the organization? What got you started all those years ago?
Yeah, so it was actually 4 stay-at-home moms. They were seeing the prevailing culture of abortion in America and decided there needed to be a Christian response to that. And so because of that, they decided to start what at the time it was called the Pregnancy Care Center. And it was to be a gospel-centered Christian response to abortion to support women who were unsure about their pregnancies.
Was it started here in Rocky Mountain?
It was, yep.
Yes.
Yep, there are other pregnancy centers like ours. There's 93 of us in the state of North Carolina. All of them are autonomous, and so Rocky Mountains was started in '89.
Are any of the women that started it still associated with the organization?
Yes, yep.
Interesting.
So we have many founding board members who are still associated with us.
Let's take a little, drill in a little deeper. So, what are the services that Your Source Resource Center provides to women, and I would assume to families as well too?
Yeah, absolutely. So women and families. So when a woman is seeking an abortion or has an unplanned pregnancy, and she's unsure about this, the things that she has to do that's required by the state before she receives an abortion is have an ultrasound to check viability. She has to have a verification of pregnancy. She has to have something that's called informed consent, where she is educated on all of her options and on the risk of abortion. And so we're able to do all those things, and so we do them for free. Whereas if she goes to the abortion clinic, she will pay money for those things. And so we offer those services, as well as if she chooses to parent, we will offer her for up to the first year of her baby's life. So we partner with her for the entirety of her pregnancy if she chooses to parent, and for the first year of her baby's life, where she takes educational courses. And so as she takes those educational courses, she earns points or vouchers that she can spend in our Abundant Joy Boutique, which is a boutique where everything that she would need for the first year of her baby's life can be provided for her. And so we do that as well. So we're partnering with the woman when she comes in, if she's pregnant, by giving her options education. And if she chooses to parent, we partner with her through the entirety of her pregnancy, first year of her baby's life. And then let's say we have a client who comes in and she is unsure. We give her the education and all the things that she needs, and then she still chooses abortion. We offer something called abortion recovery care for her, which is the post-abortion aspect of what we do. And so we do that, and then as well as we're partnering with our school systems as well, teaching the sexual risk avoidance.
So there are a couple of things I'd like to get back to and get a little deeper into,
Sure.
but let me ask this. Have your services changed in what you offer to women and families in all aspects? Has it changed since the Supreme Court's decision last year?
Our services haven't changed. I would say the influx of clients have. We have definitely seen, I'll say in the last 4 months, as an example, just as a sample size, we've served more clients in those 4 months than we've served in the same 4 months in the last 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
And so we're seeing an influx of clients. Now, we have a medical mobile unit where we go down to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and we offer services to women outside of the abortion clinic. We don't protest, we just offer our services to those who may be unsure walking into the abortion clinic. And before Roe v. Wade was overturned, we were seeing anywhere from 5 to 7 arrivals per day. And once Roe v. Wade was overturned, we were then seeing upwards of sometimes 30 per day, many from Florida, South Carolina, and Georgia coming to our state.
So the requirements in terms of an ultrasound and informed consent, those are those state regulations?
Those are state laws, yes, sir.
Those were in place, excuse me, those were in place before the Supreme Court decision last year?
Well, so before the Supreme Court decision, each state had different laws, and they still do.
Yes.
But there was, and so for North Carolina, it was 20 weeks, 6 days.
Yes.
And now that Roe v. Wade was overturned, you're seeing all of the states now make their own laws, and they're all different. And so at the time, it's changed now, but at the time, Florida, I believe, was a 16-week ban. We had, or 15-week, 6-day, I think. South Carolina, Georgia essentially had a 6-week ban, and North Carolina was sitting at 20 weeks, 6 days. And so that's why we were seeing such an influx. We were essentially, we were an abortion destination state for the Southeast.
Okay.
Yep.
And now, what is North Carolina law?
Now it's 12 weeks, and the informed consent has to be in person. There's a 72-hour wait period, and then there also has to be a follow-up appointment 1 to 2 weeks after the abortion takes place. And so it's requiring the woman to be present in person for all of her appointments, and then it's 12 weeks. Well, the entire Southeast is still at the 6-week or a heartbeat bill, essentially, and so still North Carolina is considered an abortion destination. And I think the misconception of that is we were championing, it was a good thing to have the 12-week ban for North Carolina. But the reality is in 2020, 88% of abortions that took place in our state were at 12 weeks or before. Okay. And so it really only eliminated about 12% of those abortions, which is a good thing in our eyes. But it has brought challenges because majority of abortions now are going to be happening through the abortion pill, and in many cases at home.
You bring up the abortion pill. One of the programs that you have is an abortion pill reversal. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the abortion pill reversal, many people believe that once a woman takes the first abortion pill, that it's not reversible. And so there's been studies done that show that if a woman takes the first pill and regrets that decision, she can contact the Abortion Pill Reversal Network, which will then connect her to abortion pill reversal providers or consulting centers. And we are working on being a providing center. Right now we're a consulting center. Okay. But essentially that she can be prescribed progesterone, because all the abortion pill, the first pill does is it cuts off the progesterone to the pregnancy, which essentially starves the baby of life. And then the second pill is what expels the baby through after she takes the second pill. And so what the abortion pill reversal does is we give her more progesterone to try to counteract the effects of that first abortion pill. And 64 to 68% of the time, it saves the life of that baby.
In all the discussion about that's the morning after pill too.
So the morning after pill is different than RD46.
Okay. Yeah. In all the discussion about RD46, I've never heard that there was a reversal.
Well, it's a misconception that there's not. We've even had women that we've served that said, "Hey, I took the abortion pill, and I was told there's nothing that I can do after I take that first one." But that's not true.
Let's go to the other side. I'd like to learn a little more about the Life Education and the Hope program that you have.
Yeah. So again, everything that we do, because I know we've talked already a lot about legislation. The center exists not through the lenses of legislation or politics, but we are a gospel-centered ministry, and so we believe that if there are people in need in our community, the church should be the ones who step in and help. And so when a woman comes to us and she's in need, we are able to provide material items that's 100% provided by the church. And so when she comes to us and she chooses a parent and she needs these material items, we offer the Hope program, which is Bright Course. It's an online platform where women and men, we have men participating as well, they learn how to be productive parents, healthy parents. They are learning how to change diapers. They're learning about breastfeeding. They're learning all the things that they're going to need, conflict resolution, everything, financial resources, how to manage money. They're learning everything that they're going to need for their baby, for their family, and then they earn vouchers. They come to that boutique and shop. We have many clients that are taking advantage of that, where they're coming in and they have no need at all in their pregnancy, because the church is providing that. They're taking the classes, and it's a beautiful partnership.
The Christian aspect is also something that you're very upfront about.
Yep.
And have make that a large part. What is your reaction? What is the typical reaction that you get from someone that comes to talk to you, knowing, or if they don't realize it, that your services are Christian based?
Yeah, so we're very upfront with them. When a client comes in, everything that we do is permission based. And so if we're sitting with a client, and let's say they don't share the worldview that we have, and we ask them, we'll ask the question, for example, what do you believe God says about XYZ? And they'll answer that, and then we'll ask them, would you mind if we share what we believe about this? And if they say no, we don't. If they say, sure, I'll hear that, then we'll share the gospel with them. And so we've never had a negative reaction. We lead with love and compassion, and so we're not dogmatic about anything. And again, being permission-based, it allows us to only approach the client as far as he or she is allowing us to.
And Cody, just to make sure, in that situation, you ask someone's permission about how their worldview and ask them if you can share. If they say no, you still provide services.
Absolutely.
That is not a litmus test for or against.
The only litmus that is for is if we will share the gospel with them or not. Yep. And so when they come in, we're going to serve every person that walks through our doors, no matter their beliefs, no matter. We want to meet people where they are and in the need that they have. So
I want to ask you another question, and ladies and gentlemen, this is a copy of Saturday's Wall Street Journal. Headline just above the fold. GOP searches for new message on abortion ahead of 2024. And the reason I read that, and I'll ask you, Cody, is that since the Supreme Court's decision last year, it has become a lot more public to talk about this topic, and B, politicians have started using this even more as both a campaign issue, as where they're trying to appeal to voters on one side or the other. Mainstream media has said that many Republicans who call themselves pro-life and have gone on the pro-life side of things need to adjust their message because of changing sentiments about abortion, or that many families out there say that they disagree with what the Supreme Court did. I just want to ask you, with you guys are on the front line, you're talking to women and families every day who are coming to you seeking services, thinking about services. Have you seen a change in the attitudes or a change in what people are saying to you since the Supreme Court's decision? Do you understand what I'm asking?
yeah, that's a good question. So I would say for us, we've not seen a change in sentiment or attitude, and here's why. Roland Warren, who is the CareNet CEO, and we're an affiliate of CareNet,
Okay.
a national affiliate, he puts it like this, and this is why I'm quoting him on this. He says that in the pro-life movement, which is what we're in, you have two different sides of this. You have the advocacy side and you have the care side. The advocacy side is for organizations like North Carolina Right to Life, or Alliance Defending Freedom, or North Carolina Values Coalition. And there's other organizations even on, let's say, a less conservative side of things that would be in that fight. We're on the care side, meaning that our primary is not going to be in politics. Now, as laws change, does it affect us? Sure. But is that where we're leading out of? Absolutely not. Our vision is that abortion would be unthinkable. And the reason that vision is the way it is because we believe that if the gospel impacts people's lives, if Christians are taking a rightful place and providing services for people in need, then it's going to affect culture. And so that's really the lens in which we lead out of. And so I would say, has it changed? I don't know, because on the front lines, we're dealing with women who are in crisis, and so we're meeting that need.
And it's an interesting distinction that I don't believe is made often by the mainstream media, which is that there are two sides, care and advocacy.
Correct.
And the two are not, that while they may share similar goals, they're not linked together.
Correct. Well, and look, we champion any legislation that's going to protect life, period. And we will champion that, and I will say that from every angle that I can, that this is a good thing. But at the end of the day, no matter what the legislator does, we're going to still exist to provide women Christian compassionate care.
How do you get your funding?
So we don't receive any government funding or grant funding. We are 100% community funded. Last year, as an example, our revenue was around $740,000, and 100% of that was raised by the community. And so by individual donations, businesses that support us, and churches.
How many churches are you involved with?
We've got about 70 supporting churches, and so the church community has always rallied around this cause to support people. And so it's been something that has really been impressive to see the amount of support we have.
And your work with the churches, I believe I'm correct in this, your work with the churches goes beyond the care that you provide. That is where the Hope Network comes in, and the education and the ongoing support.
Yes, so we have 8 full-time staff, 1 part-time staff, and then we operate every week with around 20 volunteers. And all 20 of those volunteers are from the church.
So, with regards to where you go from here, what are your plans for the last quarter of 2023 and moving into 24?
Yeah, so our goal, and this is the challenge that we have now, there are organizations that are shipping the abortion pill by mail to states that it is illegal in. And so our goal is to ultimately just be in front of any woman who is unsure about her pregnancy or is abortion determined. We want to be able to provide those services for free to her, to give her the full scope of what she is dealing with and what she will go through, in hopes that she can make a decision that 20 years from now she won't regret.
Is the pill legal in North Carolina?
The pill is legal in North Carolina, not by mail, and that's that's the struggle.
So a woman would have to go to a physician to be able to be prescribed.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
If this has spoken to someone, if someone watching says, I didn't know what you did, or this is something that I'm interested in learning more about, either to be a contributor or to volunteer. First of all, where do they go to get more information? And two, what is the process? If someone wanted to volunteer with you or look at volunteering, what's the process that a potential volunteer goes through?
Yeah, so they can go to friendsofycrc.org, and on that website you'll see different opportunities to become a life partner and volunteer with us. And there are some volunteer capacities that require no training, but then most of them you'll have to go through volunteer training, which is an extensive training that we send someone through. That's about 3 days long that they'll go through. And we vet every volunteer. You have to fill out a volunteer application, background checks, the whole nine, because we're dealing with people to people. This isn't an organization where you come in and just paint a wall or whatever it be. We're dealing with people who are making hard decisions.
How did you get involved in this organization?
That's a really good question. It was really, I believe, by God's design that I got involved. Long story short, my wife had a friend from college, and she was working at this organization. I was volunteer leading a youth group, working for the city of Rocky Mount, and they needed to hire a male to go into the school system to teach sexual risk avoidance, and so I was asked to do that, and that's how I got involved. Yeah, I've been there 11 years.
How long have you been executive director?
2 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Our time goes so quickly on these interviews, but as we start to wrap this up, if there was one thing you would like our viewers to take away from our conversation, what would that be?
It would be that Christians in our community are meeting women where they are, meeting their needs, and helping them in their time of need. And I think that's sometimes something that doesn't get talked about often, about Christians truly meeting people where they are. It's like a lot of times we see large buildings and we think that's where Christians are holed up at in the four walls, and that's not the case, especially in Rocky Mount, because the Christian community really has come alongside of people who are in need.
Cody, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Thank you for the service that you're providing to the community. Thank you for being with us as well, too.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cody High, Executive Director of Your Choice Resource Center. Thank you for coming in and talking about this. If you have any questions or you didn't have a chance to write down the contact information, we will have it here at the station for us to pass along to you. Cody, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go, and we will move on.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
So as I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to take just a moment to transition to our 9/11 tribute. If you will bear with us for just one moment. Good morning, sir.
First of all, how you doing?
Yes, good morning. We are live, we're on air. I am going to step aside. You have the mic, you have the camera to take us into our 9/11 tribute. Thank you very much,
Well,
sir.
no, I appreciate you. And are we on now?
We are, yes.
Outstanding. First of all, how's everybody doing? Thank you for inviting me in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll go ahead and take a few moments to kind of get ourselves ready. And one of the things that we do, we, WHIG and the Kiwanis of Rocky Mount, one of the things we do is every 9/11, we remember what transpired. And we set ourselves up as a community to remind our youth, especially, how this event changed the world that they live in. I sat and watched my godson just graduated from UCF down in Florida. And he said, yeah, I heard about 9/11. You know, it's your generation, my generation. Our parents were in World War II, I suspect, or at least Korea. And we know we get a sensing of how the world was carved up and cut up during that time period. But so this morning is a very special morning, and we got to make sure that we as a community never forget. We always inform our kids, we talk about it, and we give those who are most affected by it, that were part of it, sitting in those places where those 3,000 people died, a chance to go ahead and remember that we didn't forget. But thank you for seeing me. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And I'll take the helm.
Yes, sir.
A day of reflection. You just heard a brief conversation talking to a friend, and especially here at WHIG. There was a commitment a few years ago between the Kiwanis International Rocky Mount chapter and the WHIG to say that we every 9/11, no matter what we're doing, no matter what day it's on, we would make sure that our children, our community, would not forget that 9/11 was a seminal event in the design of this great nation. Because it was the first time that an outside agency since 1814 had done something on our soil. 3,000 people were killed in New York City. A large number were killed, wounded, maimed in our Pentagon. And I usually bring one of my friends from the Pentagon to actually come on and talk, but because of timing, I didn't want to try to bring them up and get that timing wrong. And then, of course, there were the brave actions of those on board the airplane flying over Western Pennsylvania that prevented the catastrophic events that could have been another strike at another target in our nation. In our morning today, I'd like to do a couple things, because at 8:45, I'd like you to check your house, check your phones, make sure that those phones are turned off at 8:45. I'd like you to focus simply on the screen so that you can go ahead and look and reflect. And then after it's over, I'd like you to spend today having a conversation. I want you to think about it. You know, I went to the airport up in Chicago last weekend. I had to get there 2 hours prior, And now a way of life is to get ourselves screened and scanned. And I use the TSA pass to get through. And now there's even one called Clear Choice that's coming up that allows you to be closer. But then I contrast that to the TV shows. I was watching Seinfeld about O'Dark and watched him run from the car and go right to the kiss the girl on the airplane, and then step back away from the door and then wave off. It changed. There are people who are scared now about the government. They call it overreach, because the government now tries to make sure that, you know, there's a deeper dive into some of the private aspects of our lives. But to be fair, I'd rather have that now. I'd rather have people looking at some of the open aspects of my life, the things that says who I am, to validate who I am. Our nation's counterintelligence, we spend a lot more money. We spend a lot more money right now with trying to make sure that we keep the folks who threaten our way of life from coming on our surface. We spend a lot more money making sure that our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, first responders, policemen, firemen have the techniques, procedures, and equipment so that they can do consequence management in the event that something happens. I think the shallow handshakes that used to exist because we saw somebody in uniform have now been an earned response. With that said, let's remember and let's think.
Okay, my name is Betty Ong. I'm number 3 on flight 11.
Okay.
And the cockpit is not answering their phone. And there's somebody staffed in business class, and we can't breathe in business class. Somebody's got mace or something.
Can you describe the person that you said someone is what in business class?
I'm sitting in the back. Somebody's coming back from business. If you can hold on for 1 second, they're coming back.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, it's not looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to be good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you. And I'll see you later, sir. Hi, Dave. I'll call you.
Cactus 193, can you guys see the city from behind you there?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Looks like the World Trade Center is on fire.
Yes, it's a Boeing 757 we think just flew into the air, into the building.
You're not kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I, unfortunately, will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary Rod Pace and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium to discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at the Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
Some people trying to get out of the building and by jumping.
You saw people jump.
I did see people jump.
On September 11th, 2001, America began its formal war on terror. We've been fighting terrorists for many years, many years. That was part of one of the things that I did as a soldier up until that point. As a matter of fact, on that morning, I was preparing to become the Division Readiness Brigade in the 82nd Airborne Division. My commander called me in from the field, and he told me, he says, Arnold, are you aware of what's happened? I was oblivious until about 9:20 that morning. And he said, I need you to come in and start the retooling. I told my commander, I said, sir, the best thing I can do and my guys can do right now is stay in this field and keep rehearsing for what we're doing, because we were actually rehearsing to fight some issues in the Middle East. But my mind raced back to something my daughter had told me while she was attending Virginia Tech in 2007. I talked to her on the phone, and she was a resident assistant next door to the Norris Building and lost a French teacher at that time, and the number of people that were killed were 29. And she asked me these questions. She says, how does this happen? And before I could say anything, she says, don't answer, because it happens in your world, not mine. My whole job as a soldier has been to try to keep America and Americans safe. The last thing I ever wanted was for someone, some force, to be on our surface, on our country, on our continent, and rattle our lives. What you all just witnessed was what became known as, New York was known as Ground Zero, right there on the south tip of Manhattan, where the World Trade Centers hit. As I watched those two planes hit, I'm reminded that what was personal and local for me with my daughter became similar to America. When you watch that smoke spread, when you watch that strike and the next two strikes that would ultimately hit the Pentagon and Western Pennsylvania. After that, America started to expand her reach and our defenses. I ask that all of you take a moment, Google, look at some of the changes that are in your life, and don't call them inconveniences. Call them necessary steps for our protection, and become better citizens in all that we do, and come together like we did the morning of 9/12. Godspeed, and never forget.